Scottie Barnes is a fantastic young player, one of my favorite young players in the entire NBA. However, last season, everybody was getting mad because he didn't take a leap. He stagnated. Some people even saying that he took a step back, and they were disappointed in the season of Scottie Barnes. And today I want to figure out, one, if that's actually true, two, if that's our fault, and three, where the career of Scottie Barnes is going to go from here. Now, I think part of the reason that we had some of these crazy expectations on Scottie Barnes as a second-year player is because Toronto had the opportunity to bring in Kevin Durant last offseason had they wanted to include Scottie Barnes, and they decided not to, and that puts a lot of pressure on a young player to develop and to contribute, not on the level of someone like Kevin Durant, but to potentially be on a path to being an all-NBA caliber player, and there certainly wasn't as much growth as a second-year player as you would have hoped for from Scottie Barnes. Now let's talk about the positives of Scottie Barnes. Of course, athletically, physically, he's got absolutely everything that you would want from a combo forward at the NBA level, and that translates mostly to the defensive end of the floor. There are still some lapses, there are still some times where he's not paying as much attention as you'd like, but just because of how incredible he is as a physical profile, he's always going to be active and engaged in terms of protecting the rim, getting in passing lanes, guarding individual players. All that stuff is going to be there. Of course, the rebounding is going to be there. The positives for Scottie Barnes are very easy to find. They're very easy to see. But the thing that people were disappointed by was they were expecting more of an offensive leap, some more creation, better three-point shooting, better efficiency, and overall, his numbers were pretty good, but efficiency-wise, he definitely suffered in his second year compared to his rookie season. And he's had an interesting beginning to his career because as a draft prospect, some people envisioned him as more of this complementary 3-and-D type guy, and Toronto just hasn't used him that way. They've tried to prioritize him in the offense. They've tried to expand his offensive game. And unfortunately, last year, he just did not capitalize as well in those opportunities as you'd like to, thus the decreased efficiency. And even though at times there were some bad moments, and there were moments where you'd put on League Pass and watch Raptors games and wonder what in the world is going on with this guy. Confidence doesn't seem to be there. I also think that this was a little bit our fault. This was a little bit of an expectation issue for Scottie Barnes. If he was just okay as a rookie, if he averaged like 9-4 as a rookie because he was just such a raw prospect, still trying to figure it out, and then he averaged what he averaged last year, we'd all be freaking out, be excited. Oh my gosh, that was the Scottie Barnes leap we wanted to see. And because we didn't have this huge statistical leap, and just from watching the games, we didn't see a huge leap either from year one to year two, everybody's freaking out, wondering if we overrated him, but I don't think that's the case at all. And I think the future and the direction of the Toronto Raptors still very much revolves around Scottie Barnes, and this season, we're going to start to see a lot more of those kinds of things. And part of that has to do with some of the personnel. Of course, no more Fred VanVleet. They brought in Dennis Schroeder, but obviously VanVleet has been a huge, playmaking hub for Toronto over the last handful of seasons, and those responsibilities are going to have to be handed off to other players. And I think Scottie Barnes is going to be one of the guys that they definitely prioritize, trying to make him more of a playmaker, more of a creator, more aggressive offensively. And I'm really excited to see what that looks like, because to me, there's two different directions that Scottie Barnes' career can go from here, assuming that he's healthy and continues to grow and develop. One is like an Andrew Wiggins style 3-and-D wing, where there is some on-ball creation, there is some mid-range jump shots that you're going to make, but mostly you're hoping the guy's going to guard, rebound, hit some open shots, and be an elevated 3-and-D type player. Or he can start going more on a path of someone that is an all-NBA caliber guy, that because of his size and growing offensive skill and defensive impact, he's one of the best two-way players in the entire league. I truly believe that is where Scottie Barnes' ceiling goes. And he's going to get an opportunity this season not only to showcase some of those offensive skills, but develop them as well, because I don't think any Raptors fans are under the impression that they're going to be some 55-win juggernaut team this year. They're really going to be looking at developing their younger players, potentially looking at trading away Pascal Siakam this offseason or at the deadline, or losing it potentially as a free agent next offseason. And prioritizing Scottie Barnes even more in the offense is a really exciting prospect to me, because there is some passing instinct stuff here that it's not super refined, and there are still too many turnovers, but as a creator, there is some stuff there, and they really started to prioritize him and will continue to do so in the post, from the elbows, trying to do some stuff with him that isn't just, hey, set a screen here, stand in the corner over here. And this year, they're going to need more of that without VanVleet on the roster. So we're going to see more where they're trying to punish some mismatches and isolations in the post. We're going to see him work a little bit more on some of this jump hook stuff, or just overpowering mismatches in the post. We're going to see a little bit more at the elbows creation, driving to the rim. And athletically, he has all that stuff. And if he can continue to grow in terms of his skill set, his handle, his vision, his playmaking, I think we could see that Scottie Barnes leap this year that people were excited to see last year. Now, the thing that, of course, is going to tie all this together is his three-point shooting. And to this point in the NBA, he's had some moments where it's looked good, other moments where it hasn't looked as great. But again, I think there are versions of his career through 2 seasons where his three-point numbers look better despite being the same level of shooter, just because Toronto or whatever other team would have just stuck him in the corner and had him play off the ball and gotten him easier shots. There's not a ton of volume there. And again, he's been on the ball, I think, more than some people realize, and occupying spaces of the floor that are just a little bit more cramped, especially with guys like Pascal Siakam, OG Anunoby already out there. And I think that probably has a lot to do with some of the lack of efficiency that we've seen. But if he can continue to grow as a three-point shooter, then you can start to see a package of skills that really ties everything together for Scottie Barnes. And personally, I still 100% believe in the upside and the skill set of Scottie Barnes. There's obviously a scenario where he just was really good in his first 2 seasons and never fully develops into what you hope. Some guys just don't have the ability to add that level of skill. They don't have the feel. They don't have the comfort level with being a creator, with being someone that's going to, have an aggressive scoring mindset, that's going to have that kind of vision. But I still believe that there is something like that for Barnes. I'm not saying that he's going to be Paul George or Kawhi or one of these guys, but I could see him on like a Jaylen Brown kind of arc, someone that threatens to make all NBA teams every couple of seasons, someone that is an all-star caliber player. I don't think Jaylen Brown has incredible feel or handle or playmaking, but he's really grown in terms of his skill set as an offensive player, certainly as a shooter, and will continue to add playmaking and handle to his game. And Barnes absolutely could become one of those kinds of players. And so if you're one of those people that maybe were disappointed about a lack of a second-year leap from Scottie Barnes, just watch Toronto this season. Watch what their offense looks like without Van Fleet on the floor. Watch what their offense looked like when Siakam goes to the bench. And it's Barnes and a couple of shooters and maybe a roaming big that's trying to get to the rim, and see if there's some added skills from him. A couple of extra dribble moves, being a little bit more aggressive in terms of getting to the rim off of closeouts or from the high post or the low post. See if they're looking for him a little bit more when he does get a mismatch, when he does get a smaller defender switched onto him. See if he can, punish those mismatches a little bit more in the post. See if there's an improvement in terms of his three-point shooting, his on-ball creation, because if he has the work ethic and the ability to continue to prove his skill set that I believe that he does, there's going to be a significant jump and a significant improvement not only in his skills, but in his comfort level as that kind of offensive player, because Toronto's just going to need him to be. And it's going to be very clear going into this year, with the way that their roster is set up, what they're going to need out of Scottie Barnes. The last 2 seasons, it's been a little bit unclear what exactly they wanted him to be. They prioritized him more than other teams would have and haven't just had him stand in the corner, but it makes it difficult to figure out, hey, what do I need to work on in the offseason? Do I need to just be a spot-up three-point shooting guy? Do I need to be a better rebounder? Do I need to work on my post game? Do I need to work on my creation? It's very clear now when you look at the roster, hey, we want you to be a Jaylen Brown type guy. We want you to be someone that can create for others, someone that can punish mismatches. Go be that guy. Still work on your three-point shooting. We still need you to work around someone like Siakam, who's an all-NBA caliber player himself, but we want you to grow into the guy for the franchise. You're still so unbelievably young and talented, and we want you to develop into that guy, which it just makes it easier to develop those skills when you know exactly what the expectations are for you. And my personal expectations for Scottie Barnes are sky high this year. I cannot wait to see what he looks like with this new roster. And if he looks good enough, we could be looking at a situation where they do like a mini rebuild in Toronto, trade away Siakam and try and get some other pieces there, and everything becomes about how do we make Scottie Barnes the best player that he can be and make him the true focal point of our franchise in Toronto.